And here I am, and here you guys are. Welcome to another edition of Breakfast with Disaster. I am your host, as always, Daniel Bauer. That is Bauer. For those of you trying to figure out how to spell it, I'm here at ServPro the South Towns. We do the show every Tuesday at 10 a.m. We do it for a simple reason. It's called Breakfast with Disaster. We tell you about all the worst things that can happen, so that you know how to avoid them. And we know that because we work at ServPro, and we're the folks who clean them up. Today, I want to talk about a disaster I particularly dislike. And good morning to everybody. Lisa, Haley. Haley, it's exactly what I'm talking about. St. Patrick's Day. I don't like it. And my distaste from this holiday comes mostly from my appearance. I'm not that tall, as anyone who's met me in person knows. I have red hair. I've had a beard probably since I was like 16 years old in some capacity. I cannot go outside my door this week, certainly not over the weekend, without some drunk guy screaming leprechaun at me and screaming and pointing like I'm going to give him a pot of gold. I don't like St. Patrick's Day. What I do like, though, and this is what I want to talk about with you guys, is the color green. And I think it's obvious why. Green is the color of ServPro. It is a very particular shade of green. There's a special hex code for it. You got to order it special when you wrap your vehicles. It has been this way, this color, since the year 1970. That's just a few years after the original ServPro was founded. That was 1967, out in Sacramento. Originally, and this is a piece of trivia for you guys, as a painting company. They shifted pretty soon to water and disaster restoration. Why did they pick this color? This is over 50 years ago, so this was kind of before surveys online were a thing, focus groups were a thing. I mean, certainly if you were going to go to get an ad agency, Mad Men style, and have them do that sort of research for you, you could do that stuff. But for Ted and Doris Isaacson, who were just starting a business in their town, they couldn't go out and figure out, do all this research to figure out what color they should make their brand. So there's lots of stories as to why they chose this color. The basic idea is it was for attention. And one story tells us that Ted Isaacson went and sat in a grocery store parking lot for a day and just forced himself to look at all the cars. And then at the end of the day, he's like, which ones did I remember? And they were green, so he picked green. There's other stories that I've heard where he goes to a racetrack and there's a car race going on, and he goes around the crowd and polls everybody about which car they find to be the most eye-catching, eye-popping, and they consistently pick the green one. The real story, and sort of the only truth that we're going to get to today, is that the original ServPro Green, it came from this Porsche. And this is a Porsche, or if you're fancy and know anything about cars, I guess you call them Porsche 911. This rally green that you see here, that was the original basis of ServPro Green. And you can see ServPro Green tends to be maybe a little bit lighter than this sometimes, depending on the application. But generally, it's going to look like this. And this was just a beautiful, eye-catching car. It popped out against a sea of bright red sports cars. They liked the color, thought people would remember it. They picked this green. And more than half a century later, it's still a good decision. I get a lot of people who call here and they say, I called you because I saw your trucks around. And I saw your trucks around and remembered them because they were green. So, of course, green is near and dear to my heart. But that's not the only type of green I want to talk about today. One thing that I think people have been asking more about, and I think validly, is the types of products that we have on our shelves and if they're green or not. Now, our core cleaner, one of our core cleaners is, of course, literally green. It's called ServPro Green. It's an awesome cleaner. I've given it away on this show before. I probably will again today. And you cannot buy it in stores. It is the most effective all-around cleaner you can get. And one bottle for a homeowner will last you half of a lifetime because it's concentrated. When I'm talking about green product, though, that's not exactly what I mean. What about green as in plant-based? What about green as in sustainable? There's this misconception sometimes that to be effective, a cleaning product cannot be green. And that's because people, they go online and they Google how do I make like an all natural mosquito spray or cleaning product or whatever, and they mix a bunch of vinegar together and then they get mad it doesn't work. So people think, okay, the only cleaning products that really work are super corrosive, they're super toxic, they're super harsh. And for sure, we've got some products in our wheelhouse here that require a ton of expertise, a ton of care to use. But that doesn't mean that we don't have more and more of these green types of products rolling out. And we found this to be really important to people. People care about the environment, but I think even more so, I've noticed more and more people talking about sensitivities to certain chemicals or just sort of cleaning products in general. Anything that's going to come across as bleachy, corrosive, whatever, they don't want it in their house. And that makes sense to me if there's an alternative that works, and luckily there is. Take, for example, one of the disinfectants that we use. It's a botanical disinfectant. Not only is it EPA registered, like any other disinfectant, it is a fungicide, it is a viricide, it is a tuberculoside, which I did not think I was going to get that word out right. It kills tuberculosis virus. It is a cleaner, it is deodorizer. It is effective as any other cleaning product, but it is also plant-based. It is eco-friendly. It is very pleasant smelling, easy on your senses in your home. We are constantly rolling out products like this. So when we talk about ServPro being green, I think this is an important piece of it, that we are adapting, changing, evolving with the times in a way that I think is sort of ahead of the curve, knowing that people are going to be looking for things that are sustainable, plant-based, eco-friendly, and easy on them and their health, their comfort. That's more important to people, and we're rolling those out. But there's one type of green that I will wrap up with, and it's a type of green that we are not. We are not green horns. We're not green behind the ears. Whatever your grandpa used to say about to indicate inexperience, we are not green in this business. And I'm thinking about this because I've been hearing more and more, and this is natural. This happens in this business. There are a lot of people kind of jumping in. So I've been at this, this company has been at this almost 27 years. But it's not that hard for some guy in a truck with a couple of air movers to start a restoration business and hold himself out as a restoration professional. And when I say restoration, it could be water, it could be fire, it could be biohazards, it could be all of those things. Basically, anyone who's willing to get out of bed at 3 a.m. with a couple of air movers can go out and call themselves a restoration professional. This is not a super regulated industry like, say, a plumbing trade or something like that, where there's tons of licensure, there's exams to pass to get into it. Your weird uncle could decide he's a water damage restoration professional, and as things stand right now, there wouldn't really be a law against it. Sure, there's certifications that people should seek out and get to do this work. Yes. Is that legally necessary for them to hold themselves out as a professional? No. Does everybody who holds themselves out as a professional to do this work go out and actually learn how to do it? Get those certifications? Absolutely not. I have seen that more and more of this, and not just one-man operations, but entire organizations looking at this industry as if it's a cash cow. Janitorial companies decide all of a sudden they're in the water restoration business because they have extractors for cleaning carpets. I see plumbers who walk into a flooded house and they see dollar signs going off in their head, and they're like, yeah, I can dry this out for you, and they have no idea what they're doing. Construction companies too. And it's not that those people aren't professionals. It's not that they don't know the work that they should be doing. They don't know their own trade, but they see this as a cash-in, and they think they're going to cash into insurance company money. They're going to get paid out all these dollars for placing a bunch of equipment in someone's house, and I've seen the level of sloppiness and amateurness rise pretty significantly, especially in the last couple of years. And I would say there's lots of different things that you should look at, and you don't always have to use ServPro, but there's lots of things that you should look at when you're thinking about hiring or referring a restoration company. Because just because they said they can do the work does not mean that they can. Tenure in this industry is a pretty good indication that they know what they're talking about. And that's not always the case. There are people who are new to this business who are excellent, who really care, who are very motivated, who do an excellent job. And they have the training and certification to back that up. A lot of times, though, somebody who's newer, who's just getting into this, that may not be the case. And those people don't last very long. They may end up doing this work for 8 months, and it starts out great. They're getting jobs, they're cutting rates, they're billing insurance, they think they're raking in money. 8 months later, they're up to their ears in debt, potentially lawsuits, certainly complaints because they didn't understand what they were supposed to be doing. There's mold. There's issues because they don't understand the laws around testing and invading for asbestos. Just because you can say that you do this work doesn't mean that it's easy to do in the long term. So when I talk about being green in this business, I don't just mean that as a brag that, hey, we've been here for 27 years. Isn't that cool? But as a consumer or potentially as somebody who would refer out a restoration company, looking for that level of experience is a really, really good indicator. It's not a promise necessarily, but an indicator that that person knows what they're doing. So I'd say be very careful when you're choosing who to work with. If they're green in the wrong ways, if they are green behind the ears, maybe do some more research and make sure that you're making a good decision. Because we've got 27 years of experience here, about 50 years of experience locally or nationally. I've got 2,000 franchises that I can call about just about anything that happens. And that I cannot tell you how much that experience has continuously enriched what we do, changed what we do, made it better. Without that, if we were just two guys in a truck, me and poor Nikki, lugging around extractors, God knows what we would do. Nothing good, right? So that's my green story. I'll sum it up for you. ServPro Green came from a car. ServPro Green products came from a lab, and they're excellent. They are eco-friendly, they are plant-based, and they are very easy on people with sensitivities. And number 3, and probably the most important, if there's somebody who's green in this industry, I'm not saying that they won't be able to do the job that they're purporting that they can do, but you should do your research very carefully because there are a lot of fly-by-night folks who are trying to cash in, and they can make very big promises and not be able to deliver, and you won't really have any recourse. Anyway, that's enough scare tactics, right? Let's do this wheel spin. Good morning, Kathy, Jackie. Hi, everybody. Time to spin the wheel. Today, I've decided, in honor of this green theme, we're going to be giving away a jug of ServPro Green, which is very exclusive, very rare, very, very good prize to be winning, because you can't buy it in stores. So, if you've never seen this wheel spin before, you got to be part of the ServPro Mug Club to be on it. If you're not part of the ServPro Mug Club, I don't know what you're doing. Just let me know you want to be in. I'm going to spin this wheel. Whoever's number comes up is getting that jug of ServPro Green. Here we go. Spinning, 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 as always. We're in the 600s here, so this is going to be a newbie. That is going to be, we got 668. Oh, Jessica Bacho. Former ServPro employee, actually, over at Niagara National. Jessica, if you're watching, we will get that ServPro Green to you real soon. Maybe a Western New York Insurance Association meeting, if we're all there. Sorry to everybody who did not win, all other 700 of you. Thank you for being here anyway. I am going to get about my day. You should as well. I wish you luck today. Be safe, be good to each other, all that stuff. Thank you for watching. We will be back next Tuesday, 10 a.m. with another edition of Breakfast with Disaster.